They took her eyes when she was 9, but the world did not go dark. It learned to speak. Stone had a voice, dry, patient, honest. Wood sighed when it aged. Crowds roared like rivers in flood. Each footstep a pebble struck against the current. And music was not sound to her. It was shape, pressure, gravity bending around the heart. Her name was Ellen, and she learned the world by listening to how it trembled. By 16, she was the most sought-after minstrel along the Crown Road, her harp small enough to carry, her fingers quick as rain on leaves. She never needed coin in advance. People pressed it into her palms after, hands shaking, eyes wet. They said she played memories out of the air. They said her music made them feel less alone. None of them knew the truth. Ellen heard things others could not. Sometimes beneath her songs, something deeper answered, a resonance older than the strings, a low echo that stirred when she strayed too close to ruins or mountain passes where history lay heavy. She learned to avoid those places, until the day the ground sang back. She was crossing the veil of ash when her foot caught on something half-buried. Not stone, not bone, wood, smooth and warm despite the cold. When she touched it, the world inhaled. The harp was taller than she was, its frame carved from a single piece of unknown timber, polished by centuries of waiting. Its strings were not gut or metal, but something finer, taut as spider silk, humming with restrained force. The moment her fingers brushed them, the sound did not ring outward. It rang inward. At last the harp whispered, not in words, but in collapse. In fault lines opening inside her chest, at last, a listener. Instead, she wept, because for the first time since her sight was stolen, something had seen her fully. The harp told her its name without naming it. It had been shaped before crowns learned to weigh themselves upon brows, before borders hardened into lies. It was made to end things, not through violence, but through unraveling. A chord could loosen the will of an army. A melody could fold a city into silence. A final note, struck true, could teach a kingdom how to fall asleep and never wake. I was never meant to be played for comfort, it told her. I was made to correct. Ellen did not answer. She wrapped the harp in cloth and carried it like a secret that burned her ribs. Secrets do not keep themselves. The kings found her within the year. First came King Morith, who ruled by law and gallows. He listened as she played her small harp, then demanded the other one, the one his spies had described with white mouths and shaking hands. Play it, he said, placing a crown at her feet like a threat. End my enemies. The divine harp trembled against her back. Yes, it urged, eager and terrible. Let me show you how brittle power is. Ellen stood very still. She had learned what silence could do. She refused. They imprisoned her in velvet and iron. They paraded her before courts like a curiosity, promising mercy in exchange for one song. Each time she said no, the harp sang to her in dreams, harmonies of collapse, lullabies of ending. It did not lie. It showed her the futures kings were building, fields salted by pride, children taught the weight of fear. Play me, it begged. Break them before they finish themselves. When the wars came anyway, when banners burned and the air tasted of iron, the kings grew desperate. They chained her hands and placed her on the field between armies. Play, Morith commanded. or we take what's left. Ellen listened. She listened to the fear in the soldier's breath, the grief already settling into the ground. She listened to the harp's hunger, bright and aching. And beneath it all, she listened to herself, the steady, stubborn rhythm of a heart that still believed in choosing. She lifted her hands. She played, not the song the harp wanted, not the one the kings demanded. She played the sound of remembering, a melody shaped like a hand reaching back, like a bridge laid over a ravine. She bent the divine strings toward mercy, toward the fragile geometry of lives not yet broken. The harp screamed, not in pain, but in astonishment as its power twisted into something it had never known. The armies faltered. Swords grew heavy. Men lowered their shields, hearing their own names in the music, their mothers' voices, the soft places they had buried to survive. The kings felt it too, their crowns loosening, their authority thinning like mist and sun. The land shuddered. King Morith fell to his knees, sobbing into the dirt. The harp went quiet. When the echo faded, the divine instrument was no longer warm. Its strings sagged, their tension gone. Its voice, once vast and terrible, had been spent, broken not by force, but by being made to love what it was never meant to save. Ellen was freed that day, though not forgiven. Power does not forgive the hands that teach it restraint. She carried the harp to the edge of the world and buried it where the earth hummed softly, where roots knew how to hold grief without hoarding it. When she walked away, she felt lighter and lonelier than she ever had. Years later, people still spoke of the blind minstrel whose song ended a war. They argued whether the harp still slept beneath the soil, waiting for another hand bold enough to choose. Ellen kept walking, her small harp tucked under her arm, listening as the world relearned how to sing without being commanded to break.